Hello, everybody. All right, this is going to be lesson plan 2. I'm going to continue on from our last presentation and then go into the next one. So let's go ahead and get started here. Go ahead and share the screen. Well, first of all, I wanted to actually talk about what is going on with Blackboard. So there are a couple of things that are still having issues as far as dates in Blackboard. And so I'm actually fixing most of those. One of the projects is a writing project for week 3. And for that, I'm going to see if I can try to fix that. But as you all work ahead, into all of the learning plans moving forward. Just know that if you can't complete the writing assignment in week 3, don't worry about it, just skip over it, and you might have to go back to it once you figure out how to fix that. Everything else in Blackboard, though, should be fixed, so you guys can go ahead and work through week 8, learning plan 8, if you wanted to work ahead. I've had enough requests to say that that should be open for people. So I wanted to make sure you guys got that. So that's all good. Everyone's been good about communicating to me things that might need fixed on Blackboard between the McGraw-Hill and Blackboard integration. So thank you all for that. Sending me that information is helpful. Few people actually requested to meet with me face to face with any questions. So I just want to make sure you all are aware that that's totally great. With me, happy to schedule some time with you to chat and talk through some things and issues. There is some language usage in McGraw-Hill that could get confusing for some people. And so we can kind of talk about those as they come. I'm trying to think what else here. If anything else came up that I need to talk to you all about. I think that's it. So we'll just get started in the presentation. We're going to continue on with these factors that impact marketing. We have a couple more slides on that last presentation, and we'll go ahead and get started there. Let me share this screen. All right, let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and slideshow, current slide. Okay. All right, so technology and innovation factors that happen in the market that kind of drags other brands over to adopt new technology. And there's certain steps that come about when this happens. So the first thing, and I kind of touched on this last time, but signals amidst the noise. So this occurs when a new technology comes to market, but it's not yet disruptive. So disruptive meaning it's not something that comes to the market that everyone has to then mimic or parity in order to stay relevant in the market and competitive with that brand that comes along and does this. Most incumbent firms don't feel much, so firms that have been established for a very long time, they won't feel the pressure to adopt this new technology or innovate themselves. Typically at this stage, the signals amidst the noise stage. Okay, so I'm going to go through a little bit of a case study between Netflix and Blockbuster Video, a company that many of you probably have not grown up around, but I have, and kind of saw this takeover from in-store video stores to online streaming. And this happened back, I would say late 90s, probably mid 90s. So it's an interesting story, and it's directly related to this technology innovation factor that affects markets. So the next step is the change takes hold. So at this stage, the old line companies then need to start establishing their foothold. So the ones that were really comfortable and had a stranglehold on the market for such a long time now have to evolve and change in order to stay competitive with this new disruptive technology. The disruptive technology does not have a major impact on the bottom line of the incumbent firms at this point. However, it is clear that those incumbent firms need to change because they are slowly starting to lose the foothold in the market. Now, the next step is the inevitable transformation, is called. So at this stage, really it's time to change, and the market the companies that are more established in the market are starting to lose enough market share to where they need to actually make the move, and sometimes it's actually too late at that point, depending on how strong the new brand is, and how far along their innovation is in the market at that point before the incumbent companies decide, okay, it's time to jump into this thing. And then adapting to the new normal is the final stage. At this stage, everything has reached the point in which companies must accept the fact that the industry is fundamentally changed and there's no going back. So let's go to the case study here. Netflix versus Blockbuster. So you can see at first the signals amidst the noise here. Blockbuster is in blue, and what we're seeing here is on the left is revenue in billions. And then along the bottom, you see a timeline, 2004 to 2013. So it was, I guess it was early 2000s then. My dates got messed up there. But you can see the steps here were introduction of the video services for Netflix, where they got started. They were pretty low, and 1.25 billion. And up here, Blockbuster, you can see this direct X correlation here. Blockbuster was on top of the market. Everyone was going to stores. They had some subscribers for online services as far as 2 million. But Netflix was really kind of like the new player in the game. And so you can see that at this point here in about 2010, Blockbuster was a little bit late to launch an application here to compete with Netflix, and Netflix subscribers completely took over the market, and it's still growing. So you can see that Blockbuster actually, and you can't see in this chart, but there was a point where Netflix offered Blockbuster to buy it out, and Blockbuster refused to buy Netflix back in, I'm not sure what year that was, but Blockbuster refused to buy Netflix at one point in time, which was a huge mistake, and they actually closed down here in 2013. So you can see that um, uh, this is something that has happened in the past, and it could happen in the future to potentially Netflix. Not sure how that could happen, but this is just a case study in that. Um, so research and innovation for that kind of ties directly into research and innovation, right? I think Blockbuster kind of depended on this idea, this cultural phenomenon of going to the video store on Friday, Saturday. And I remember doing this as a kid. It's very exciting. You can go to the store, see all of the new movies that came out. There was a lot of like print design and environmental design in the aisles for new movies. So let's say when Jurassic Park came out, or any kind of big blockbuster movie like that, after it came out on video, you would see big, huge graphics in the store, and it built a lot of excitement. The problem with Blockbuster was, and I remember as a kid, was there was a lot of times if it was a big enough movie, it would never have enough movies to rent out. The shelves would just be empty, and all you see is empty boxes, and they'd give you an estimated wait time and things like that. And it was real frustrating, and that's what I think the Netflix really had an advantage over that, because it was streaming. You could just go ahead and order this online. They did also have a service where they would send you a video via the mail as well, so you can rent out 1 to 3 videos, and it was delivered directly to you. And then you have a week to watch it, and then you just return it, very much like a Redbox, if you will. So there were a lot of things when Netflix got started that became pretty competitive with Blockbuster, and Blockbuster really had that whole in-store experience that was sort of their value add. And then as the streaming came along with Netflix, it started diminishing the market share of Blockbuster until inevitably it went out of business. So for marketing here, research and innovation, there was basic research, applied research, and a stimulating of innovation. So basic research means is it's an aim to confirm an existing theory or learn more about a concept or phenomenon. So basically, at a point in time, Blockbuster Video did some basic research to confirm that the future was in streaming. Okay, and so that's how they started making their business decisions to change that business model a little bit. This could include competitive intelligence. So what competitive intelligence is that someone at Blockbuster, let's just say, goes and gets a job at Netflix, and then they begin to integrate themselves in the Netflix culture and understand a bit about the research and the brand and where the brand is going as far as a product offering. And then that individual will then communicate to Blockbuster. So it's almost like an undercover agent. And basically, there are people that do that type of thing for companies. There are also individuals that might, sit in on events or go to conferences and overhear conversations between different organizations and share that intelligence with the company that they work for. If someone slips up and starts talking about a new product innovation or something of that nature from one company and a individual from the other company that's a competitor overhears some information, they would share that. It's called competitive intelligence. Another thing is applied research, so attempts to develop a new or improved product. So particularly hardware technology companies are doing this. Apple's always learning to develop new or improved products. Of course, we all know their iPhone is doing that, and so on and so forth. Also applies with software companies as well, Facebook and the like. And then stimulating innovation, companies now approaching and finding new and disruptive innovations as modern day oil prospecting. So basically, innovation is sort of like oil prospecting. They're determining or predicting what's going to happen in the future in order to be the first company to innovate and take advantage of the market need that's not so obvious. Sometimes the market doesn't even know what they want. They just know that the same old thing in the market. They're used to it, but they're always looking for something new. And if that new and disruptive innovation is there, and they're like, oh yeah, that's what I've been waiting for, and they didn't know it. That's kind of something that companies are wanting to look for and put out there in the market. So business strategies and marketing plans. So the marketing plan establishes the business's mission. So this is basically just a document that shows what a company is going to do in order to increase its revenue or meet certain goals that the company has or organization such as Midstate. The mission is to focus on the benefits customers seek rather than goods and services provided. That's kind of the mission of the business in general. And then there's a SWOT analysis, and SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, external opportunities, and threats. And so strengths is, of course, the strength of the organization. So we're going to talk about Midstate since I'm like really closest to it. I work in marketing there. And we're also going to talk about weaknesses. So basically, financial, brand image, employee capabilities, and available technology could all potentially be weaknesses or strengths in a company. But in the marketing plan, essentially the organization developing it needs to sort of be honest with themselves and identify these weaknesses for themselves and take that into consideration as they're developing the plan. So a really like straightforward thing is employee capabilities. If you don't have a video person on staff, you know that in the budget of the marketing plan, if you think video is something you need to go with to increase your result, you need to actually put aside some budget, to get an external organization to develop video, because that's one of your weaknesses. Now, if you have someone on staff, you're already paying that, so then it's just a time. This is time. So a weakness in that point could be, well, this individual or individuals on a video team are taking more time to develop something for this organization internally. And then so they're focused on that piece, and then they're not going to be able to do other things within the company, of course, because their time is going to be taken. So you're going to have to establish and figure out what those weaknesses are as you develop the plan. Then there's external opportunities. So in in the SWOT analysis. So opportunities might be collaborations with other brands, or things that might be coming up as far as like if you're doing a marketing campaign at a certain time of year and there's an aligning, let's say, conference within the industry that you're in that you could take advantage of and go and exhibit at a conference. Or something of that nature that could be considered an opportunity. So anything external to the organization that's not really in their control, but they could take advantage of it. Even some kind of disruptive technology out there that an organization could take advantage of that maybe is just the right fit for that specific organization in their market. It could take advantage of that. And then threats, of course, are potentially those innovative those technologies, let's say between Blockbuster and Netflix, right? Streaming versus in-store purchase of video. That was a threat to Blockbuster, of course, and they did not consider that apparently in their SWOT analysis, in their marketing plan. As such, they went out of business at that point. So any kind of threats to the business, competitors, some of those strengths that competitors might have need to be analyzed and really put to paper, really, and communicated across the organization so that this organization as such can respond. Let's see, target market strategy. So I'm going to share with you all a marketing strategy that we've done in the past for Midstate, kind of give you an idea of how we use the calendar and then have these marketing tactics. So I call, there's a strategy, which is a lot of messaging and have the brand in your marketing plan. And so that's part of the strategy. But another part of the marketing plan is essentially the tactics, which are things like a website, text messaging, email marketing, things like that. So brochures, stuff like that, advertisements, things of that nature. Those are all going to be part of the marketing strategy. And 4 P's of marketing. So these are 4 things that that marketing encompasses. So marketing is about the product, so that's P1. Also place. So place is like product placement. So where is the product going to be sold? Is it going to be in a geographic region? Is it going to be in a certain store? Things of that nature. Promotion is basically like the advertising. So the advertising plan, how are you going to promote the product? Is it mostly going to be online? Is it going to be in person and that sort of thing? And price, how much is this going to be? It depends on your audience for all of these 4 Ps. You can tell the audience is going to be interested in the product. If they're not going to buy the product. If the audience is not at the place, the other P, where the product is being sold, of course, they're not going to be able to buy it. This is why Amazon is so huge, because anyone can be anywhere to buy any product off of Amazon, that marketplace. And then promotion, if no one knows about your product, then they're not going to be able to buy it. So promotion is super important. And also price. If the price is not reasonable enough for the person, they're not going to buy it. So these are all pieces of the puzzle. So essentially, you can tell that marketing is not only advertising, messaging, and branding. It's actually all a combination of all of these things. So if any of these 4 Ps of marketing are out of whack, you're not going to be selling your product, and the marketing is going to fail. And then it's all as a result of an evaluation, marketing evaluation. Okay, so we're going to go through the marketing plan for Midstate here. So let me kind of show you guys. Let me cut this down. Oops. All right. So I want to show you a couple things. First, I think I'm going to show you the calendar. So this document here shows you a calendar. I'm not going to show you the tactics necessarily of the marketing plan, but it's going to show you an overlapping campaigns that we have here at Midstate. So, and then it has major things that are happening. So this green here, it's color coded because at Midstate we have like multiple campaigns that kind of overlap each other. So during the spring campaign that started here on October 1st was the first day of part one of the spring campaign, first day of part one of the midterm campaign, and then we had a midterm start campaign that kind of went before October 1. And so you can see we're running 3 campaigns simultaneously here through the weeks. Okay, so 3 campaigns, and no midterm start campaign stops on October 15th as spring campaign continues on. So this kind of tells us that all of the tactics that are developed in the marketing plan for midterm start, let's say we have newspaper ads, let's say we have digital ads out there on Facebook and Twitter, LinkedIn. Let's say we have like digital monitors and screens. Let's say we have pamphlets that get distributed out to high schools for midterm start specifically. Those will then stop on this day as spring continues on. So all of the campaigns then continue on. We're spending money on Facebook during this time. We're doing organic posting on social media at this time. We're creating new videos at this time. Okay, instructors and classes might be promoting the spring campaign for people to re-enroll for new classes. Winterm campaign as well. Typically the messaging is catch a few new credits during the winterm term on an expedited, excuse me, sort of an expedited, a little bit of a quicker turnaround to save you time and graduate early. And then we have like part 1s and then part 2s of each campaign. So then a second push for spring, part 2 might be an increase in budget or new tactics that come into play. So then there's a part 2 that comes in winter and part 2 as well. And then we go into a part 3 where we're actually changing the audiences. And that's a big important part. So we're changing the audiences from here. Part 2 is focusing on new students. So that's where that budget is going. Spring is focusing on new students as well. The beginning of the campaign up here, you can see is current students. So the part 1, part 2, and part 3 is mainly increase in tactics and change in tactics, but also new audiences that we're speaking to. So current students would be re-enroll or take a few extra classes. New students would be enroll and join and be part of Midstate, right? So you can see that those 2 messages then are overlapping at a point here, the 15th of November. They overlap at a point. And then eventually then the university transfer students. So that was for this campaign specifically, they wanted to then call out university transfer. So telling people you can do a 2+2 articulation agreement to take 2 years at Midstate and transfer over to 4 years to get a 4-year degree at a university. We have a list of a bunch of universities that can happen with. And then so that message went for about a week towards the end. A lot of budget was compressed into this smaller period of time. And then that's how that works. So this calendar kind of correlates with actual tactics that are broken out in the marketing plan. So let me show you that. When I develop a marketing plan like that, I ask for the dates right away. When are we doing this phase? When are we doing this phase? When are we doing this phase? I mark everything in the calendar. And then on the back end, what I do, I like to use Post-it notes, and I like to take the Post-it notes and identify, we're going to do an email here, we're going to do an advertisement here, we're going to do this there, and I just tack it on to that calendar. And then I take all of that information and I bring it over to a Word document, which I'm going to show you here. I'm going to show you, this is program identity. This is the fall campaign. Okay, so this is a fall enrollment campaign marketing plan. Do one page at a time. Okay. So all of the marketing plan here, it breaks up into sections. So actually, to make it easier to follow, I'm going to highlight each section in green here. And there's several components. There are about 6 of them. Media channels, it's another one. Budget, it's a big important one. And then the timeline. This is where my Post-it notes get converted to on the overall calendar. So you're going to see a little bit of strategy, you're going to see a little bit of tactics here. So every plan is going to have a goal here, and then this plan might have multiple goals. Some plans have multiple goals within one campaign. This has only one goal for the campaign, and that's to boost enrollments for fall term. So under goal, you're going to see in my particular plans, like this is how I do it. This is not essentially, I mean, other organizations might do other things. In this organization that we're at, there wasn't really a document like this, so I just created it from another organization that I brought it over from because it worked. So, and there's a lot of people involved in crafting this plan, as you can see with the 4 Ps of marketing. Those are different areas of expertise. Like my area of expertise is mostly basically like promotion. Okay, but the pricing, that's not my area. The placement, that's part of that. I have input into where to place things, and budget and stuff like that. As far as like to spend for placement, but there's other individuals too that are involved with that, like the enrollment team. They're essentially our boots on the ground and our salespeople that talk to students directly, and they have a big say over where we're going to place our ads and things of that nature. So product as well. So our academics is our product, and our academic team, all the way up to the vice president of academics and all of our deans have a say over what products we're going to be pushing. So university transfer is a program that our dean said was very important to push. So that was the product that we were pushing in phase 3 of the marketing plan. All right. So, so this is the goal. Overall, appeal to demographics below. So there's demographics broken out in this plan, and that's going to be under this target audience category. So we're going to focus on these different demographics, and we're going to speak to the benefits that are provided to mid-state students. Next, we reiterate the goal just to make sure if there was multiple goals here, we'd have one category that says boost enrollments for fall term, another category that might say focus on university transfer, for instance, okay? And then under this target audience, we define who our audience is, and then we describe who they are, not only as the age, right, but as the whatever their household income might be, whatever their interests might be, etc. So that's kind of what we talked about in our last lecture about audience demographics and things like that. So that is how it's outlined here. So first demographic is graduating high school seniors. So a little bit about them: likely to attend another college, home for summer, looking for courses they can transfer to a 4-year. Then we have kind of different names of these individuals. So we kind of named them out and then have a description. So there's a persona we call Adam. Unsure about, he's unsure, but he's a high school senior. So he's hoping to settle on what he wants to do for a career. He also is worried about the hassle, travel, and ongoing expense that comes with moving away from home. So more information about this, and we call this an archetype. Okay, so Adam is an archetype, or actually we call it a persona, but essentially it's like an archetype, or it's like it's kind of like a name for an archetype of a person or a target audience. What's really important though is this person's motivations, this person's pain points, the things they might be worried about. He might feel overwhelmed at a big university or being far from home. So this is kind of like a description of the person that we're targeting to get them to come to Midstate, okay? So demographic targeting information. Geographically, there's a 25-mile radius of Rapids Point, Marshfield, and Adams. Age is 16 to 18. In high school, income 25 to 50%, top 25-50% of household. Interests, family scholarships. So as we talk to this persona in our marketing plan, we want to speak to scholarships, speak to being close to your family rather than moving away to a big university. Another persona we have is the Maya persona. It's the high school junior, so it kind of gets a little more specific. Worried about being able to afford a 4-year school, ending up in debt, etc., etc. So there's a lot of description here. that some of our research people came up with to help us promote our people, craft content, craft copy, develop imagery that speaks to this person visually, okay, in our ads and things like that. And also determine sort of the tactics to reach this person, right? This is a young high school junior person. It looks like the age group is 16 to 18. So for targeting a under 18-year-old, as I talked about last time, you can't necessarily do that on Facebook as far as paid advertising. So you target that person's parents. And then you hope that that person's mother or father influences that young person to go to Midstate as opposed to another school. Okay. Same geographic targeting as the other persona. Higher education interest in higher education. Income top 25 to 50% is mostly largely the same. This person in particular is interested in dorm life, so they don't necessarily want to stay home with their family, but they'd like to live in the dorm and get the college experience. So again, you would potentially speak to that in your marketing, that Midstate provides that opportunity for that experience. And they might be, this person, as far as a persona, might be interested in study abroad. So that is something that you could mention in some of the marketing to appeal to that person. Okay, next group of people is early college students. The Zach persona, etc. So this person is a bit older. They have some college experience, but they want to get the bachelor's degree, and they know that's what they want. And then they're interested in liberal arts. So that was where our phase 3 of marketing plan would target for the university transfer and the continuing students, as well as part of the campaign. So as you recall, in the calendar, we reference continuing students, so current Midstate students. And then how would you encourage current Midstate students to register? You would advertise on Blackboard. You would encourage the instructors within the classes to provide reminders to the students that registration is going on and things of that nature. You would send emails to the students, potentially phone calls to the existing students you have, text messaging. I get some of that stuff too, so that is all good. So that's kind of a bit of an idea of how you would integrate those audiences. So then next is key strategic messages. That's that section. And then again, this is our goal from the top: boost enrollments for fall term. Primary campaign message is career skills first. So that's the headline that we did for the entire campaign at the time, focusing on skills. As you recall from my last lecture, we talked about that first campaign was all about choice. So you have all of the choices that you want between online innovative learning options and in-person class size, small in-person class sizes. Now it's all about career skills first. So focusing on the career, getting the skills for the career, because that's why we're here, is to get jobs and start our careers. And then we had this general messaging here. General messaging is, of course, register today, register now for best class selection, classes start this day, visit the webpage. So you can see here that our messages are hands-on learning, best value, individual attention, small in-person classes, fully online, innovative technology options, and then we have sub-bullets and sub-messaging that creative teams can take and use in their advertisements. They can take this messaging and make it really big and loud, depending on where the promotion placement is and what's the best fit for that message at the particular moment for that particular audience. Or they can kind of craft, paragraphs of copy and use these as either bullet points or sentences within the message. But the gist of the message should be focused on these key strategic messages. Okay. And then with this plan, everyone from top to bottom within the organization that is actually involved in the marketing and execution of it has input into what our key strategic messages are. They actually can look at it. They actually can give feedback on it. And once this plan is finalized by virtue of a date that it needs to be finalized, because there's a point at which the campaign has to start via the calendar. This is locked in and everyone is aware of what's happening and there's no questions asked. And this is part of why I developed this document in this way, because the last thing we all want is someone to come along and say, oh yeah, but we need to say this in the marketing. Well, that's not really going to happen unless it's a very high up person like a vice president or president level, where they're in a position to make any kind of change they want late in the game or in the middle of the game, and kind of pivot the direction. This is a document that really nails down everything, and we get the input up front rather than after the fact of the campaign starting. And then here we are breaking out messages for the different personas here. So for the Adam persona, the unsure high school senior, you have some specific messaging there. High level, 4-year degree, guaranteed transfer to 20 different colleges and universities, including 13 UW colleges. Not everyone in the marketing mix, the video people, the graphic design people, the social media people, they might not know this level of detail of information, 20 colleges, including 13 UW colleges, universities. Not everyone's going to know this because these numbers change. And so deans know these numbers, executive leaders know these numbers because they're up and privy and they're responsible for developing the agreements with these schools, okay? So this is why it's important to involve everybody and then record it and capture it here in a document like this. Okay, more messages here: explore options without wasting money, feel comfortable in college, have support, etc., etc. So you can see we keep going, the Maya persona. And actually, I will probably post this and share it on Blackboard so you all can see it. But I think it's nice for me to go through the overview because it is very overwhelming. This is a lot of copy and things of that nature, but you can kind of see it just works from left to right from a hierarchy standpoint, okay? And then, of course, the color coding that I've got. I'm going to save this real quick. So it goes in through the messaging, and I would encourage you to kind of take a look at this or even keep it on hand, because in the future, you might be in a marketing department. That marketing department might not have a process to develop a marketing plan, and you can just have this on hand. And as you soak up information for everybody, just on the side, you can develop this thing so you can be on top of everything. So if people ask you questions, you have a reference point to like have the answers to those questions, and then you become the go-to source of all of the knowledge of the marketing plan, and then you can increase your value to the team and really make yourself a solid member of the team, and then really like kind of work your way up. Or you can work your way out to a different organization and bring this with you and say, hey, I manage all these marketing campaigns and so on and so forth. And, you could legitimately say that on a resume. Let's go to media channels. So media channels are the different places where you're going to put your promotions and ads. So under here, again, we reiterate the goal. So we're going to use television, radio, digital ads, social media, organic social media, paid, Blackboard, right? Postcard copy. We're not really breaking out where we're not using all of these different media channels for every single audience demographic member. What we're saying is these are all the media channels we're going to use for the entire campaign to achieve this goal, right? Boost enrollments. To achieve that goal, we are going to speak to the Adam persona audience, the Maya persona audience, the continuing student, etc. And we're going to break all these out. So video or television might speak to the new students, right? So we'll focus the messaging on attracting new students for that. And then potentially digital ads or organic social media. We'll focus on the current students, of course, Blackboard, current students, postcard. We have addresses of all the current students, so that'll be speaking mostly to them. Okay. And then it goes down flyers, print, digital, campaign, imagery, press releases, etc. Next section, budget. Again, reiterating the goal. because we do the reiterating the goal again because we might have multiple goals within the campaign. So budget for television to be determined. If you don't have any numbers from executive leadership on the budget, then you just kind of have a blank space, and then they tell you as we go along. If that's the case, that's fine. They're in control, and so let them be. Social media paid for this time, I got a number for that when this was done, but everything else I got no numbers. A lot of the times too, if it's NA, that means like there's no budget for it at all to create a CRM email. Within our team, we have a third-party provider that we use to create our work in messaging, and then we input it into the CRM system, and then we just send emails through that system cost free. At the time, we pay like Midstate pays like an annual fee to be able to send as many emails as we want. So things like that. Flyers, you just pay for print prices, but that just is determined by how many print pieces you want, and that is determined based on how many people in your email, in your mailing list you have. So that's just to be determined. That's what TBD is here. Okay, so then you go into the calendar. So remember, I told you that as I'm looking at all this stuff, I'm looking at the calendar and saying, okay, what are the dates that we're going to start the television and then end the television? So it's very much hands-on for me. There's probably a good way to do it digitally, but I like to use Post-it notes to develop these things. So really, I'll have a post-it note on 7/6 that says television runs through 8/23. So I'll post-it note television start, post-it note television end, and then I'll map all of these different tactics out, and then I'll input them as they look. If they look good to me, I'll input them into here and then get these approved, this document approved. So we have dates for when things start, and then there's notes here for when things run through and who is responsible. So television, radio, digital ads. Again, digital ads are like those Google ads that come up on websites that you visit based on your past interests, and then the cache that is used and taken from your searching actually determines what ad you see on a website. So social media organic, then there's a note here that says who the audience is in the social media post. So again, those key strategic messages become important. I can very easily go back to these key strategic messages of each and different persona, and then copy and paste into the social media post, or develop copy that essentially says the same thing but in a different way for the social media post. We have social media paid. Again, the audiences, that's where the targeting comes in, right? So the age groups, the income levels, the interests, those are all things that Facebook can use to target. And then in that paid social media ad there, we can basically target those individuals. And then this would start at 7/6 and 7/12. Start at 7/12, end at 7/19. So this document is really easy as far as these dates come and approach. You can just check these off of your list, and then those responsible in the right column would be responsible for checking this off the list. Okay. These are all just basically tasks that get created, and you can see that this pretty much aligns with all of the media channels that we have above. I think some of the media channels might not be accounted for in this document, or maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong, but so that is essentially a marketing plan for you as a sample. Let's see. I don't want to go on too long because I was talking for about an hour and a half from you guys last time, and I heard some. Maybe it was a little bit long. So I'm going to try and get through this next presentation. I'm going to make sure I share those two documents with you in the calendar and the plan. But let me see how far we can get into this next one. We'll probably do like another 20 minutes. I'm not going to take too much time on this one. Let's get it going. Okay. All right. So the next section, we're going to talk a little bit about products for week 2. So let's get it going. Consumer products. All right. So for consumer products, we're going to talk about the product types, the items, product items, lines, and mixes. So these are different categories within a product. Okay. So for instance, Coca-Cola, right? That is Coca-Cola has basically like a soda, and within that product, there are different sub products within it. So Diet Coke, Coke Zero, Cherry Coke, blah blah blah. So that is under the umbrella of Coca-Cola. So this is kind of where we're going with this section here. All right. So what is a product? It's everything favorable and unfavorable in an exchange. So a product is a tangible good, and it could be also a service, and it's also could be like an idea. Um, there's consumer product types. So there's convenience products, there's shopping products, specialty products, and unsought products. And we're going to talk about each one of those and what they are. There's product items, lines, and mixes. So it's a structure of products offered for organizations that sell a variety of things. That's the definition of it per the book. Brand strategies. So policies that firms use in order to make complex branding decisions. So again, it kind of ties into that marketing plan document. Sort of you could see the strategy almost behind the different products, educational products that we sell to these different audiences. And it's all part of the strategy to make those decisions. In packaging. Packaging serves as a practical function of containing goods, serves as a powerful promotional function as well. So yeah, maybe not so much when it comes to like now online purchasing. However, it does actually have an effect, because when you receive a package from Amazon, there's a package within it from the manufacturer that has a certain type of feel, and that feel might feel very expensive, or that feel might not feel so expensive. That feeling is something that sticks with you, because there's a lot of studies based on touch, and touch can create a lot of memories in us that last a long time. Basically, um, uh, um, the nerve endings are part of the largest organ in everyone's body, okay? And biologically, that does something to you, okay? When you touch something, a product that has a certain high-end feel, that's a feeling you never forget. And if you can't forget a feeling like that, you might want more of it, okay? And so that's you can tell, like, even Apple products have this like very soft, substantial packaging. It's very thick, but it's very soft, and it has like a substantial, like a higher end type feel. Even like luxury products, right? Like Louis Vuitton, or things like that. All of their products have a feel. All of the tags might be very substantial. The boxes are super, fancy, have foil stamping and things like that. This is kind of like a designer thing, but that's all part of the marketing too. All right, so there's different product types. There's business to business and business to consumer. So the business to business product, and they call those B2B companies. This is a product intended to be used to manufacture other goods and services. So it might be like a product, like for instance, a tractor is used to manufacture different agricultural things like wheat and corn and stuff like that. So the business to business company is not selling the corn and the wheat, but they're selling the tractor to create the corn and the wheat. Okay. They also facilitate an organization's operations. So they might create systems that go on printing presses, or additional items that go on a tractor, for instance, to make it improve its function and performance. Maybe it's a special air filter to go into a vehicle to compress the air better, or something like that, to make it go faster. So this is like a business to business product. Some business might be selling this to Toyota, etc. If Toyota isn't, manufacturing this on their own. And it's also a business-to-business company might create something to resell to other businesses in the form of like shoes, for instance. So like Rogan's Shoes or Foot Locker, they're going to receive products to sell to their customers from another business like Nike or Adidas or something like that, like a shoe of that type. Okay, so there's seven major categories of business products. One is major equipment. So let's say Caterpillar for construction or things like that. Another one is accessory equipment. So maybe this could be potentially new rims for a vehicle, something like that's an accessory, could be swapped out for an existing, rim for a higher end look. Component parts, so that could be like a phone case, or like Gamber Johnson is a local company in Stevens Point that creates things that hold like iPads and laptops in cars for police officers or other emergency vehicles, and they sell those to different companies across the U.S. uh, Processed materials, so maybe like processed food or something like that. Raw materials, so this could be like building materials, like lumber, stuff like that. Supplies, and then also services. All right, so let's go next. Consumer products. So this is business to consumer as opposed to business to business. Business to consumer are products that go directly to the consumer. So this is a product like milk, for instance. The company that produces the milk, it can sell it directly to the consumer. It satisfies individuals' wants and needs. Sometimes the same item can be categorized as either a business or consumer product, such as light bulbs, pencils, paper, etc. It's important to note that B2B, business to business, and B2C, business to consumer firms use different distribution, promotion, and pricing strategies because they're marketed to different target markets. One is marketing to a business, one is marketing directly to a consumer. And this is why these two product types need to be differentiated. So an example is the milk could be branded with a company name like Dean's, but the supplier of the milk, i.e. the farm that raises the cows and milks them, would sell the milk to Dean's. Okay, and then the farm is B2B, and then the Dean's is B2C. Business, the farm is business to business, and Dean's is business to consumer. And consumer product type, there is convenience product. So this is kind of going back to the beginning as far as the product types we've talked about. A convenience product is an inexpensive item or service that merits little shopping effort. Consumers will not do much, if any, research on these items to make a purchase. So if you remember, we were talking about the Gen Xers doing a lot of research on purchasing products. Well, they might do research on these products to purchase, but they will not do very much. It will be very little because this is kind of a convenience product. It's inexpensive, for instance. Another example of these, besides this aspirin here, might be candy, soft drinks, car washes. This product will require wide distribution, so larger quantities of the product can be sold to generate sufficient profits. So the more of this stuff out on the market, the lower the cost can be to still maintain sufficient profit. Typical for the B2C firm, business to consumer firm, but also for B2B firms as well. It could be the same quantities is not required because the cost of the items are not high. All right, let's see. There's a shopping product. So a shopping product is usually more expensive than a convenience product and is found in fewer stores. So this example here is the shoe. Consumers compare several different brands before making a final decision on this type of product. So hence a little bit more research here. Probably past experience with the product, or influencers within a family might have some say over what product you buy here as well. They compare things like style, practicality, price, lifestyle compatibility. This could be clothing, potentially even vehicles as well, as I talked to you earlier. The generational branding of things, Chevy versus Ford, could come into play with this type of a product. There's two types here. There's homogeneous and heterogeneous. Excuse my pronunciations there. Homogeneous product type, their products perceived by consumers as basically being the same or basically similar. So examples might be microwaves, refrigerators. So Kenmore versus General Electric versus Whirlpool. Essentially, they're perceived by consumers as the same, but they just have that different name brand, okay? The consumer motivation to buy one product over the other when it comes to the homogeneous group of products is price typically. And then potentially brand comes second, but price will come first with that type of product. Heterogeneous shopping product, these products are perceived by consumers as essentially different. So they're the same product, but they're perceived differently, okay? This example could be Louis Vuitton versus Hanes, Louis Vuitton versus Nike, or Louis Vuitton versus Nike. Like there's one's more of like a fashionable shoe, and one might be more of a kind of a utilitarian. Let's say like Skechers versus Nike or something like that. So they're perceived differently by customers just based on the quality or the brand. Consumer motivation to buy one product over the other is to find the best product or brand for me. So sometimes, like, let's just say they want to buy the product over another one because of the social perception of them for having the product. For things like universities, the buying behavior can be a lot more complex because there are many factors that contribute to the buying decision. For example, family influences on the decision. So like university was an example, vehicles is another example of a family by being an influence on the decision to buy the product or not. And of course, that's gonna be different to marketing from the marketing standpoint. One product like the aspirin might be all price. The lowest price is the best. You're not going to be concerned about the branding. And a product like a car, education, yes, price is a consideration. However, the quality of what you get from the education, the quality of the instructors, all these different factors coming into play when it comes to that buying decision. How close it is to home, cost of living in the area that the school is, if the student is going to be living in a dorm, etc. So those are kind of the differences there. One last consumer product type, specialty product. Specialty product is a product that consumers will research extensively for and are very particular about. They are reluctant to accept substitutes for that item. Marketers of specialty products will use selective, very targeted, and status-conscious advertising to maintain the product's exclusive image. So I don't think this is, you could say a watch like a Rolex watch, okay? Maybe someone would have like a collection of them, but the typical person will just save up for a long time to get something like this, and they purchase it because they want to essentially have some kind of a status conscious thing about it for themselves. And then that's how the advertising is sort of targeted. YouTube influencers are now becoming key to marketing specialty products to their audiences. So if the YouTube influencer that has a huge influence on this person that's buying the product, right? They follow this influencer for a long time. This influencer drives the Rolls-Royce, Bugatti, or something of that nature, has these certain types of watches, etc., and they kind of offhand promote them through their content creation. Thus the person that's following them will want that product, and that's kind of like an advertising angle that these business to consumer product producers create or work with influencers on. Consumer motivations to buy specialty products include brand names and quality of service received. One more product type, my bad. It's an unsought product. So this is like insurance and stuff like that. An unsought product is a product that is unknown to the buyer or is an unknown product. New products fall under this category. Advertising distribution investments need to be made at a large scale to get these products categorized differently. Examples are insurance, electricity, internet, burial plots. These are things that people don't necessarily get advertised to like directly. It's just kind of like something you have to have. Electricity And so it's not really sought. You just have to buy it because you need it. Internet is another one, etc. The biggest motivations for consumers to buy are aggressive personal selling and highly persuasive advertising. So if there is competition between, let's say, two internet companies, then you'll probably have like a salesperson that's going to be very aggressive in selling to you from a personal standpoint over the other competing internet company, let's just say. In some areas, you don't really have a choice. There's also like pretty much one provider typically. Sometimes there's, two, maybe three, but there's not very many. It's not very many competitions, so the selling piece is very aggressive if they have to be. You'll get sales teams, direct mail from companies like that. And then I think we're going to cover these product items, lines, and mixes and kind of call it one for today. So product items, lines, and mixes, we're talking about Coca-Cola here. Let me go to the next slide and see. Okay, so Coca-Cola product mix is all of the products Coca-Cola has to sell in its full portfolio. So what you're seeing in front of you, you're seeing Fanta, Fresca, all the different types of Cokes that they have. They probably have more. They also sell waters, Dasani water, juices, things like that. These are all actually Coca-Cola products. They're not labeled as such for the most part, for a big part, but they are all part of the Coca-Cola product portfolio. So this is called the product mix for Coca-Cola, the product mix. Now there's product lines within Coca-Cola, and that's what you're seeing as well. It's a group of relatively closely related product items. So part of Coca-Cola's product mix are several product lines, including soft drinks, juices, waters, sports drinks, and teas. So those are broken out product lines. And then there's product items. So within each line, soft drinks, juices, waters, sports drinks, and teas, there are different product items within. So a specific version of a product that can be designated as a distinct offering among the product mix. So within the soft drink product line, you have Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola Vanilla, Sprite, Barq's Root Beer, Fresca, Fanta, just to name a few. Within the, let's say, the water product line, you can see here you have the vitamin water, you have the Dasani water, you have the other different types of waters, and then you also have the different flavors of the different waters, okay? So that's kind of the breakdown of that. Let's see what else. And product line benefits. So I think we're going to stop here. We'll pick up on product line benefits, I think next week. There is going to be some reading about this, but we're just going to stop here and move forward. So let me know if you all have any questions about this, especially with the reading and stuff. And remember that the writing assignment, we're still having trouble with that. So, and that's lesson plan 3. So skip over that if needed. If it's not working for you, it's probably not going to, but there is maybe a chance that it might, but don't worry about it if it doesn't, okay? All right. Thank you guys. Send me emails. You've been doing great about doing that. Keep on going, okay? We're gonna talk to you guys later now. All right, have a great evening.